Hi there guys, welcome back, and today I'll be doing the next part for what if Cabba was in Universe 7 instead of Universe 6. Now last time we left off with the Saiyan Saga mostly going how it did in canon, with a few exceptions, and those being Piccolo managed to survive the encounter with the Saiyans, and Cabba has also decided to stay on Earth after helping the group in the fight against Vegeta. Now, the group is still heading off to Namek, with the original group as in canon going off to Namek first, with that being Krillin, Gohan and Bulma. Why is Piccolo staying on Earth? Well, Piccolo has decided to stay on Earth because he wants to keep an eye on Cabba, who was recently just a bad guy, and after all, he did just recently beat Piccolo up. So Piccolo's still got a bit of a grudge against him. He's just mostly there to try and defend his planet, however, he would take a chance to try and kill the Saiyan. However, he won't do this because Goku has asked him to keep an eye on him, that's all. Now, I'm not going to cover anything that happens with the Namek group, so I'm going to wait to talk about them until we get to the Ginyu fight, because everything in canon is going to happen up until that point. Now, back at the hospital, Goku's still recovering, and while Goku's been recovering, Piccolo has spent some time at the hospital, and any time they spend near each other, Goku and Piccolo do some MS training, which doesn't really make sense to Cabba, as he doesn't really know what's going on. Now, I'm going to cover what's happening with Piccolo, then I'm going to Goku, then I'll jump to Cabba. Now, Piccolo spends most of his time training if he isn't at the hospital. He's training to try and close the gap between himself and Cabba. Cabba got a small Zenkai from the fight with Vegeta, so he's still a bit ahead of him. And Piccolo's trying to make that difference up, but he just seems to not be able to. And if he's not out training, he's very close by to the hospital, keeping an eye on Cabba. Now, Goku is a different story. Goku has mostly been healing. Goku's pretty much doing what he's done in canon. However, this time Cabba is there and he's keeping Goku company alongside Chi-Chi, Roshi and anyone else. And in this timeline, Goku's trying to get to know Cabba a bit better. He's trying to understand what Gohan saw in him that he's obviously missed. But Goku, from what he's seen, Cabba is a good guy, and he doesn't really care that he used to be a bad guy. He's giving this person a second chance, much like he gave Tien, and much like he gave Piccolo. So for his sake, he sees Cabba as a good person. But Cabba doesn't seem to want to talk to Goku. Goku does eventually get Cabba to start talking, and the two start to make very good friends. And it's not long before Goku is teaching the Saiyan how to sense energy, and also teaching him how to suppress his energy. This makes Cabba feel much more involved with the group, and he begins to talk to everyone who visits Goku in the hospital. I say everyone, but there's one small change here. He doesn't really talk to Piccolo. Piccolo doesn't really want to talk to Cabba, and Cabba sort of feels like Piccolo hates him. This isn't the reason, but there is obviously the underlying thought that Cabba did beat the hell out of Piccolo. However, for the time being, they're going to have to put their differences aside. After all, they just got a call from the Namek group letting the Earth group know that some bad stuff's happening on Namek. Not only is there someone called Frieza who's incredibly strong, there's also Vegeta, he's just appeared on the planet. Hearing this, Cabba asks when are they leaving to go help, with Goku saying the moment they get senzu beans they're going off. Like he was summoned, Yajirobe shows up with the senzu beans that Goku needs, making Goku back up to full strength. They take the rest of the senzu beans, and much like canon, they get off into space and start training for the next 6 days. Now, for the next 6 days, they do very high gravity training, with Goku and Cabba already being sort of used to 10 times Earth's gravity, and it just being Piccolo the one that's slowing them down. However, Piccolo doesn't make them stop. Piccolo's quite used to training with a lot of weight on him, so this probably isn't too much for him. And they eventually probably train in a bit of higher gravity than Goku did. Let's say 145, just for simpleness. And also, another thing that happens during this time is Cabba finally gets around to apologising to Piccolo. He's wanted to do this for ages, and he's finally got around to it. He explains why it took him so long, and it apologises for the fact that he got so mad at him. He explains the reason he got angry was because he killed Cabba's only friend, and he seemed proud of it, so he just wanted to end him in that brief moment. But he didn't, and he's happy he didn't. However, now he realises how much him and Raditz are alike, and that made it harder for him to apologise. Piccolo, whose social skills are next to nothing, doesn't really know how to respond, but responds in a way a warrior should, and says that he shouldn't apologise, you fought for a friend, and explains how he's only recently just got friends, thanks to the likes of people like Goku and Gohan, who gave him a second chance. And now he doesn't want to let Gohan down, and you shouldn't want to do the same. So let's train hard to help these people who gave us a second chance. With Piccolo and Cabba seem to have fixed this awkwardness between them, begin getting ready to train. When they look over to Goku, who's holding a lot of food, saying that they should eat before they get back to training. Now, I'll cover their power levels after the growth of the next 6 days, and then we'll get straight into Namek. Now Piccolo started at a power level of about 4,000. This is just a little bit of an increase. I know it wasn't 4,000 in the last part, but this is after his little month of training. Put his power level up to 58,000. Next up is Cabba, who got a small Zenkai from the fight with Vegeta, so this is why his growth is a bit better. And Cabba got an increase to 98,000, meaning he's stronger than Ken and Goku. Goku's increase put him at a power level of 112,000, and this means he is nearly stronger than Ginyu. Now, we'll go to the day when the three land on Namek, and everything goes pretty much like it did in canon, with Goku giving out Senzu Beans and knocking out Raccoon with one hit. However, some small changes here is the fact that Vegeta's pissed off to see Cabba, and he's happy that at least he'll see him die to the hands of Jace and Berta, but after seeing Goku knock out Raccoon, he's not so confident. And another thing that happens here is that Gohan is excited to see not only Piccolo, his dad, but also Cabba, and he's got a little bit of excitement now, seeing that the New Saiyan seems to be on their team again. Now, Jace and Berta are shocked at the sheer speed of Goku. Even Berta couldn't keep up with him, you know, the fastest guy in the universe. So the two charge at Goku out of anger, and also just not really knowing what to do. However, before the Earth Ray Saiyan could even lift a finger to take them down, Cabba, who already knew what Jace and Berta were like, signals to Piccolo that they need to take these two down, with both Cabba and Piccolo appearing in front of the Ginyu Force, knocking them in the gut and then sending them flying towards each other, pretty much taking care of the Ginyu Force, except for Ginyu. Now after seeing this, Vegeta is stunned and pissed off. He doesn't know how Cabba's got this strong. He must have ascended to the Super Saiyan state, much like Kakarot. He doesn't understand, and he's getting very visibly angry, with veins in his head. And he soon shouts at Cabba, saying, "How did you get this strong?" With Cabba just saying he trained on the way to Namek to take care of anything that was on this planet, with this making sense to Vegeta, and also making him understand that he's not the Super Saiyan. However, Vegeta isn't happy, and while Goku, Krillin, Piccolo and Gohan all have a nice little reunion, Vegeta says daggers at Cabba. Goku, finally noticing this, actually steps up to Vegeta, telling him to back down or they'll sort this out now. Vegeta not really having any other options, it's either that or die to Frieza, puts his tail between his legs and flies off towards Ginyu's ship, with Goku, Gohan, Cabba, Piccolo and Krillin following, as they need the Dragon Balls, and Vegeta's not going to take them without permission, is he? Now on the way there, Cabba actually explains a lot of information about Ginyu, the most information he can give about Ginyu anyway, with Goku being confident that he can beat him. Goku does learn about the body swap here, so he's not too worried now. Now on the way to Frieza's ship, Ginyu runs into the group. He was heading off to check on his men after they've not been responding for ages, and when he sees the group flying away, he sort of puts two and two together that these new free fighters must be super strong. Now, Goku actually steps up to fight Ginyu, telling the group to head off and get the Dragon Balls before Vegeta causes any issues. And Goku and Ginyu's fight goes much like it did in canon, with Goku not having to use the Kaioken, meaning that Ginyu's scouter is still intact, and any other scouter on the planet is fine. Now, the fight between the two actually goes much like it did in canon, with Goku being on the upper hand thanks to just being stronger in general. However, when Ginyu does go for the body swap, Goku manages to avoid it, and like Ginyu did in canon, he did put himself in a critical condition, with him slowly bleeding out now, and sort of just expecting death to happen. Goku isn't the kind of person to let this go by though, and actually tries to help Ginyu, but unfortunately the Saiyan doesn't know enough about how to help, and Ginyu does die, but he did meet the sympathy of Goku on his way out. Now, when everyone's at the ship and moved all the Dragon Balls outside, Vegeta did plan on making a runner. However, Piccolo and Cabba are stronger than him, so he doesn't really have much of a choice here. Goku does arrive, and at first Cabba is a bit hesitant, just to make sure that it's not Ginyu. However, when Goku starts making some stupid comments, he does know it's Goku. And the group all decide that they need to head away from the ship before making the wishes. On the way away from the ship, they do run into Dende like normal, and they summon the dragon like normal. The first wish is obviously to bring back Chaozu, and when it's done, they try to bring back Yamcha and Tien. However, they learn that they can only wish back one person at a time, so they decide that they need to use the other wishes in some other way. Piccolo, actually having an idea, asks if they can bring all the living Namekians to this nearby area, with every living Namekian being brought here, which actually includes Nail and Guru. And Dende Piccolo, seeing that Nail's dying over there, very badly injured, runs over to him. Nail is actually pleased to see another super strong Namekian, and actually asks Piccolo if they can do the fusion. With Piccolo not really knowing much about this, and actually gets it all explained to him, Nail knows how strong Frieza is here, and he knows that no one there is strong enough to deal with him, so the fusion with Piccolo might be Namek's best chance. So both Namekians agree and fuse, making the strongest Namekian ever seen to the planet, and this puts Piccolo at a higher point than it did in canon. I'm just guessing, but Piccolo probably had a power level of about 1 mil in canon after the fusion with Nail. I like to believe Piccolo here is a bit stronger, so I'm going to put him at a bit of a higher power level. I'm going to put it at about 2 mil. And after seeing this happen, Vegeta starts demanding for his immortality. He's the only way they could defeat Frieza. And this makes Cabba step up and start yelling at Vegeta, saying that he's not going to get immortality, so just back off. Vegeta going back at Cabba and the two starting to have an argument. Goku, who's a little bit confused at the moment because he just sensed something and it sensed terrifying, but it's sort of being masked by Piccolo right now, so he just shrugs it off. And also the argument between Cabba and Vegeta makes him break his concentration. Goku heads up to Vegeta again and says, "I'm giving you one more chance, Vegeta. Stop, back down, we need everyone here to get ready to defeat Frieza." Vegeta not really having a chance to argue back after Goku's interrupted by an elderly Namekian. They look over to see Guru, who's hardly hanging to life, and he's not really able to stand. Call over for Cabba and Goku. He senses through them, seeing that Goku's entirely good, and unlocks his potential. And then goes through Cabba, seeing everything that he's done, but he also sees all the good things that Cabba wanted to do, and also sees all the things that Cabba can do. So he unlocks Cabba's potential as well. And this makes these two Saiyans much stronger than First Form Frieza, with Goku's power level going to about 768,000, and Cabba's power level going to about 669,000. I might be wrong with my math there, but I haven't got the numbers up in front of me. Now anyway, this is unfortunately all of Guru's powers gone though, and before he dies he does elect Elder Murray to be his successor, with the Namekian accepting it. And once Guru dies, the Dragon Balls are inactive, making the Namekians mourn a little bit, but they don't have too much of a chance to mourn, because as soon as the Dragon Balls are inactive, a certain horrible key appears. Goku looks up to a cliff and sees some ugly demonic creature looking down at them, and Vegeta, who looks up, recognises this, and also recognises the power, Cabba also doing the same, but they can't seem to recognise him by face. And then it suddenly clicks all to Vegeta at once. That's Frieza. But that must be one of his transformations. Frieza then removes the scouter from the side of his face, crushing it, saying that thank God his scouter didn't break. He sensed a power level of 2 million show up on the scouter. It's a good thing he noticed it, otherwise that probably could have led to his death. Then again, it could have been an issue with the scouter, but he won't take that risk. After all, Ginyu hasn't responded in hours. This is Frieza, and he's powered up to his 3rd form. And now I know this doesn't sound like something Frieza would do. Frieza's cocky, and he's one of the most powerful things in the universe. Keep in mind, he's lost contact with Ginyu before anything was ever said. So Frieza this time used his brain instead of his ego and powered up to his 3rd form, meaning that he's actually stronger than Piccolo, Goku, and Cabba, who are the strongest people there. Now, before the fight breaks out, all Namekians who are pretty much unable to fight start running away, with the Dragon Clan members being the ones mostly to run, and the Warrior Clan members just picking up any Dragon Clan members that can't move fast enough. A few Warrior Clan members do want to stay around and help, but Piccolo, being pretty much one of the leaders of the Namekians right now, shouts out for them to leave. This is Nail as well, so lots of Namekians have respect for Nail. Now, the team that's left standing after a few minutes of them running is Vegeta, Goku, Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo, Cabba, and weirdly Dende. Dende stuck around, he wants to try and help, and he's going to heal people if they need it. But other than that, he can't do much, with Piccolo telling him to hide behind some rocks. Now, the fight is about to break out, and Goku and Cabba begin to stretch, getting ready to fight, with Piccolo taking off the rest of his weighted clothing. Now, the fight is about to break out, like I said, and when they clash, Frieza has clearly got the upper hand. And the longer the fight is going on, the more Gohan and Krillin realise that they actually need to get involved with this fight. And Vegeta also notices that Goku's using that Kaioken thing to make the gap between himself and Frieza much shorter, meaning Goku's actually still packing the biggest punch here, but the next being under him would be Piccolo. However, it isn't long before the group suffers its first loss. I say loss, but one of the fighters finally goes down. Frieza, getting bored of this fight going on and on, much like Kanon, gets rid of Krillin. Blasts 2 death beams straight through him, sending the body quite far away, landing quite close to Dende, with him healing up Krillin, obviously, to get him back into the fight. But Vegeta took note of this. Vegeta's still not joined in the fight. He's not risking his life to save these people. In fact, he's actually going to leave on one of the Ginyu Force ships. But before he does, he realises Dende can heal, looks over to Krillin, and much like normal, tells him to blast a hole through him, making the gap between Frieza and Vegeta much smaller, putting Vegeta at a power level of about 2.4 mil, making him stronger than Piccolo and Goku. Obviously, that means he's stronger than Cabba. However, this still isn't a struggle for Frieza, and he slowly starts doing what he does, starting picking people down one by one. The next two to drop out of the fight is Piccolo and Cabba. Frieza, much like he did to Krillin, blasting holes straight through them. However, this time, Piccolo slowly starts to heal himself back up, and Dende heals up Cabba. Cabba's power level probably jumps up to about 3.4 mil here, meaning that he can probably hold off Frieza with the help of Vegeta, who notices that Cabba's stronger than him again. During this break, Goku drops down to try and catch his breath. He's been using the Kaioken the whole time to try and close the gap between himself and Frieza, but it's getting really tiring now. Dende does heal him, and Goku did take a substantial amount of damage from this. Not just from the Kaioken, but also Frieza. He was trying to block a lot of Frieza's attacks for everyone, meaning so he's the one who was closest to him. And this means Goku's getting a Zenkai as well, and I'm going to put him up to 4 mil. I know it seems like these Zenkais are carrying them really far, but you've got to remember, in the Namek Saga, Goku went from a power level of about 90,000 to 3 mil from one Zenkai, so I think this is pretty reasonable to say it's a much smaller boost. Now, once Goku gets back into the fight, Frieza realises he's finally at a disadvantage and sends out a huge shockwave, knocking everyone back and making him transform to his final form. With everyone stunned, Frieza takes his opportunity. He's sick of messing with this prince, and much like he did in Kanon, just puts a hole through Vegeta. But also noting that that little Namekian boy can heal people, he disintegrates Vegeta's body. There is nothing left of Vegeta. No one feels sad for Vegeta, but everyone is terrified by the sheer display of power that Frieza just showed off. Now, this next bit is going to go pretty much like it did in Kanon, with Cabba and Piccolo having to step down, with Goku being the only one who could probably keep up with him. However, Goku's heavily fatigued. Cabba gets himself healed, and this probably makes Cabba a bit stronger, but because I've already given him a big Zenkai, I'm not really going to do much with it. Now, the fight between Goku and Frieza goes much like it did in Kanon, but the only exception, Goku's a bit stronger here, and he's a bit more tired, so it could probably still go either way. The plan for the Spirit Bomb to come around does still happen, and Goku is defended by Piccolo and Cabba. Now, Cabba and Piccolo actually are going to work together really well here. Both are quite unique in their own way. Cabba is very strong, and he's sort of a prodigy in his own right, and he's probably picked up a few techniques from being around not only the Z fighters, but also the Saiyans. And Piccolo's just a very crafty person to fight. And I could also see Gohan and Krillin joining in just to try and defend Goku a little bit more. So the 4 fighters are sat there trying to defend Goku, with Cabba using one of his favourite Earth techniques to try and get an opening. He shouts out Solar Flare, making Krillin grin, because he didn't know Cabba knew that. Following up, Piccolo smashes his hand straight towards Frieza's face, from quite a distance away using his stretchy arms. And following behind him, Gohan appears, kicking the tyrant to the ground. Krillin isn't really sure what he can do, but he does have an idea, and he actually starts using his Destructo Disc. He separates it much like he did in Super, trying to get some damage in on Frieza, or just detain him for a little bit. However, Frieza's eyesight is mostly back at this point, and he's dodging every attack. However, this gives Cabba a big opening. He starts using the form for the Double Sunday, making everyone a bit confused, as that's Raditz's move. However, Piccolo and Goku do note that they are actually pretty decent friends, apparently. So, Cabba then throws a Double Sunday straight towards Frieza, with it not really doing much damage, and it actually just pisses the tyrant off. However, this was enough time brought. Goku's Spirit Bomb here is arguably stronger, with there being a few Namekians alive who probably offered some energy, who could probably hear Goku, and Goku being stronger himself. However, I do believe the Spirit Bomb wasn't enough. Much like normal, unfortunately, Krillin and Piccolo do both go down, with Piccolo not dying, just getting very heavily injured, and Krillin getting killed a few seconds afterwards. Now, not only Goku is pissed off here, Goku does still become to change into the Super Saiyan state, but Cabba's also furious. Piccolo is one of his new friends, and even though he's not turning into a Super Saiyan, he still starts getting a bit of a power increase. Maybe his power doubles, it's just an anger moment, so he wants to try and kill Frieza, with him doing a decent hit. However, before he gets a chance, he senses Goku's energy again. Looking over to his new friend, he sees that Goku looks super pissed, and he tells Cabba to get everyone away from this fight. He's going to deal with this fast, and he's going to deal with this now. Cabba, not wanting to argue with this version of Goku, actually grabs Piccolo's body and flies off. Gohan, who's upset at the death of Krillin, the injury of Piccolo, and whatever happened to his father, Cabba does try to comfort him. Now, the fight between Super Saiyan Goku and Frieza is pretty much like it did in canon, with the only exception of being Goku actually stops the attack that's going to destroy the planet, meaning Namek's going to survive. Goku finally gets Frieza into position where he offers to let him leave the planet. Frieza, much like normal, doesn't accept, and Goku kills him. Goku then passes out from ki exhaustion, like he should, and Cabba soon goes over to pick up his friend. A few hours later, Goku wakes up, and he's greeted by the smiling face of Piccolo, Gohan, and Cabba, who all tell him well done, and that they're going to bring back Krillin soon. Now, this is where I'm actually going to end this part, and I've got some things I'm going to cover, and it's probably going to be in a 0.5 part, so 3.5 is probably the next part for this What If, we'll see. I'm going to do my next MCU part this Saturday, I think. Hopefully, please God, I say I get it out. And if it's not that, it will either be the What If Krillin told Chi-Chi or another part for the King Cold story. I don't really know at the moment, but I think it's going to be the MCU one. I promise it should be, but I'm not 100%, as I said. But anyway, I hope everyone had a good day or a good night, and I hope you really enjoyed this part of this What If. I know it seems like a lot of it went like it did in canon, however, I just didn't see the inclusion of Cabba causing too many changes. The only issue is, I had to power up people quite a bit to get them on a level with Frieza, and I did it in the most believable way I saw possible. But I hope everyone has a good day or a good night, and I'll see you next time.